Many of you might remember about 2 years ago, I did an interview with Hein Marks from the ULA. Hein Marks was at the time spearheading the secession movement for the Cape, not just the Western Cape, but basically the entire old Cape province, right from the Namibian border all the way down as far as the Western Cape. Back then, Hein was busy spearheading the legal process, the international legal process, which took him quite a while, but they eventually did complete it. As far as I know, it is 100% complete. And they were collecting mandates, what they call the will of the people. Basically, give your mandate and say yes or no. Well, not no. They were collecting yes mandates. If they got enough yes mandates or yes votes for secession, they could literally demand a referendum from the government or, in severe cases, declare a UDI, a unilateral declaration of independence. Now, in the background, things haven't been quiet at all, but as far as the public's concerned, things went very quiet. What has actually happened is Hein Marks has now basically finished, well, as I said, he had finished the legal process and he has now handed over this legal process to what they call the Cape Transitional Authority. The Cape Transitional Authority is headed by a Dr. Stewart. You will learn more about Dr. Stewart later on. But Dr. Stewart is now spearheading the secession movement, which has been actually expanded. The area is still from the Namibian border all the way down and including Port Elizabeth. They have adopted the term Cape Exit. Now, a lot of people will associate the term Cape Exit with a movement to secede just the Cape Province or the Western Cape from South Africa. That is not the case anymore. The Cape Exit name has been adopted by the CTA for this entire secession process. They have now written a book which gives a very good explanation of the entire history of South Africa's start from the Cape, from Cape Town basically, how we came to where we are today, and why and how they are going to secede. Now, I would prefer everybody go and read this book, but it is pretty long. I think it's 239 pages. It's a long book, and I know a lot of people don't like to read. I have read the document. I am thoroughly impressed with the document. It is not just something that somebody has sucked out of their thumb. A lot of research and a lot of work has gone into not just the document itself, but what these guys have done behind the scenes to be able to bring this to us. Now, because I know people just don't want to read that long a document these days. So what I'm going to do in the next few videos, well, quite a few videos, I am going to take it chapter by chapter and I'm going to read to you each chapter. I'm going to put them all in one playlist and I will call it Cape Exit, Why and How the Cape Will Leave South Africa. It was compiled by the Sons of Liberty. So I'm going to start with the foreword in this recording. So I don't want to make this recording too long, so I'm going to start immediately. I would really like it if everybody who has listened this far listens to the foreword and follows up and listens to every video after it until I have finished reading the entire book. I promise you it is extremely interesting and you might you'll definitely learn a few things. And if you are currently against secession, I know there are a lot of people, not a lot of people, but certain YouTubers who are against secession, but I think there are other motives behind their opinions, put it that way. Anyway, let's get started with the foreword. It's not too long. I'm going to read it to you quickly, and that will be the end of this recording. But I will follow up as soon as possible with chapter 1. So here we go. The readers might well inquire into the basic motivation for this work, and the chances are that they will receive half a dozen different answers. But that motivation is found in dedication. By way of that most famous exhortation of the national goal which appears in the United States Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Most people do not comprehend the full import of those justly renowned words. They enshrine the right to life and personal liberty but make no promises about happiness. The key word here is pursuit. In other words, the Declaration of Independence states you are entitled to the opportunity to attain happiness. If you have the opportunity, the rest is up to you. That is the bottom line. The very thought of the Cape gaining its independence is an awesome and for many people even a frightening one. not just undertaking the act itself, but its consequences, including the shape and form of the future nation. A great number would be very wary. After all, the new South Africa that emerged in 1994 got off to a good start, but that promise has not materialized. Could independence be the silver bullet that would put all things right? The answer is no. What independence would provide would be the opportunity to create personal and national happiness in at least some of its many possible definitions. The transition process would undoubtedly be a difficult one. One has only to cast an eye over the drawn-out Brexit process. But the thrust of this report is that it is not just possible, but feasible too. The wrong way to approach the matter is to say, it can't be done because it's never been done like this before, or it's got to be done in such and such a way because that's how it has always been done. Both are voices of defeatism and mediocrity. To achieve a goal such as this one, it is necessary to scrutinize the past for mistakes that should not be repeated. One needs to acknowledge the present with all its imperfections, not as a permanent situation, but rather as a springboard from which to leap into the future, and then take that leap into the unknown with intrepid purpose and the determination to do what needs to be done. The renowned architect Buckminster Fuller, inventor of the geodesic dome, put it this way: you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. As to what form of rules should flow from the process, one has only to remember the basic requirements which were voiced as long ago as the 18th century by the famed Scottish economist and philosopher Adam Smith, and which are still as valid today as was the case then. Little else is requisite to carry a state of the highest degree to opulence, from the lowest barbarism but peace, easy taxes, and a tolerable administration of justice, all the rest being brought about by the natural course of things. In other words, instead of ham-handed and almost inevitably doomed attempts to top-down social engineering of the Soviet type, the fundamental aim must be to create a self-adjusting socio-economic environment which allows people to reach their own level of fulfillment. To put it more bluntly, in terms of ordinary, real politic, it would be up to the government, or rather the voters, who put that government in place to create a truly sovereign nation in which all citizens have a beneficial stake, risking some measure of loss if the system they have chosen were to be upset. This report is the culmination of research and information collected over the span of more than a decade. It addresses the prospect of changing what could justifiably be described as the most fundamental geopolitical event in the history of Southern Africa, namely the Act of Union. With one stroke, that act, embarked on with much expectation, locked what is now the Republic of South Africa into a highly inappropriate constitutional form. It unwittingly laid the foundation for a nation which has never been truly free of unrest and dissatisfaction because of the inherent instability of the foundation on which it was erected in 1912. There have been at least 3 occasions on which that inadequate state of affairs could have been remedied. The transition from a self-governing dominion to full independence in 1931, the proclamation of the Republic in 1961, and the Cadessa negotiations in the early 1990s. But on each occasion, the time bomb which was set in 1912 was allowed to remain quietly ticking away, biding its time to explode at the appropriate or inappropriate moment. Now the 4th occasion for change has arrived, and it is our conviction that it would be the last we would have to make things right for each of us, personally and for the nation. That is the foreword. Please stay tuned for the rest of them coming soon. In the meantime, stay safe out there.